7 things a software testing manager wants in an employee. We will learn how ISTQB can help you get a software testing job or pave the way for a promotion. We will discuss 7 primary characteristics that managers look for in software testing employees. Competence. It is very important for a software tester to be able to apply what they know in varying situations. This includes testing knowledge, project management, development skills, business analysis, and our good friend, diplomacy. Being a good software tester is not just knowing about how to test, but also how to be effective in an environment. This requires leveraging everything you have learned and applying it to the current situation or project. You have to be willing to learn. Without that, technology, techniques, and tools will pass you by, and you will be less valuable and certainly less flexible. Being willing to learn doesn't mean waiting for your testing manager to arrange training for you. It means getting out there and reading software testing articles, attending webinars, going to conferences, and talking to your buddies in the industry, constantly absorbing what's happening out in the world around you. It is definitely important to look after your own learning when you've been with one organization for a long time. It's very easy to become static in your knowledge and feel safe. Software testing is an ever-changing world, and you need to know what's new and interesting as well as what's new and foolish. Bring ideas back to your manager, who is probably struggling to stay current as well. In addition to being willing to learn, you should be willing to teach others what you have learned. If you have just learned a new testing technique, share that knowledge. Share how it can be applied. Teach the BAs and developers how to use decision tables. Talk to the developers about DevOps stuff and see what they think. Are they interested in implementing continuous integration? Should you be working with them on test automation? This is your career. Plan to build and grow. Good communication always. Communication is a common buzzword and is frequently a subject for needs improvement on software tester performance reviews. But what does your manager really need from you? Your manager wants to make sure you will raise an important issue or risk, not just sit back and assume others will see it too. You wouldn't go to the doctor and not report your symptoms, would you? A project has symptoms of problems as well, and those need to be raised to be sure that everyone is aware and ready to address them. Don't assume everyone knows about the brewing problem. They might not. On your project, in your assignment, you are the eyes and ears of the testing team. In addition to communicating issues and risks, there is also a time when you should, quite frankly, shut up. Complaining about something that is known and can't be fixed, such as a tight schedule, doesn't help anyone. Raise the issue, make sure it's understood, and then do your job as best you can. Testing managers deal with impossible problems all the time. Being nagged about it doesn't help and will tend to make your manager classify you more as part of the problem rather than part of the solution. You also want to make sure that issues are raised to the appropriate person. If you're not sure who that is, check first. Some project managers or development managers are very touchy and reactive. It might be better to let your testing manager raise an issue, particularly a controversial one, rather than doing it yourself. When in doubt, ask. And a bit about reporting. If you are asked to do a weekly status report, just do it. This is your chance to remind your boss on a weekly basis how wonderful you are and how good your work is. One manager has told us that one of their employees always sends his status report and formats it exactly as she wants it. He also always words it appropriately. Every Friday afternoon, he is her favorite employee. This is just one example of an easy way to buy favor without much effort. Independence. This is always a tough one. Too much independence may get you into trouble. Trying to manage your own issues can be a good thing, but it can backfire when something you thought was under control suddenly isn't anymore. Have you ever had a manager say, "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" If so, you might be trying to be too independent. Or maybe you have the right amount of independence, but you didn't let your manager know there was an issue that you were dealing with already. Good managers want to see a person trying to handle situations and problems, but also letting them know. Why is this? Because they can offer some advice, or maybe just sympathy, but they definitely need to know. Often the problem you see may be a symptom of a bigger issue, one that really should be dealt with at a management level. Either way, just let your manager know. That provides the opportunity to get some guidance and maybe some air cover before you jump into an issue and potentially stir up other problems. Here's an example a manager gave us, and it has been altered to protect the guilty. One of her testers was working with a development manager who was rude at best and abusive at worst. Her tester dealt with it professionally and avoided open conflict. That was the right thing to do. She also blew off steam to the manager about it. Again, that was the right thing to do. The manager then dealt with the issue through management layers because this was a personnel issue that had to be handled properly. By avoiding open conflict, the employee allowed the management team time to deal with the problem. By keeping her manager clued in, she provided the information they needed for the personnel action. It was a bad situation, but it built the manager's respect for the employee and for the professional way she dealt with it. Independence is good. It shows growth. It shows a willingness to take on responsibility. It shows that you are ready to advance to the next position. But it is risky. Use good judgment, and when you're not sure, always remember to ask. Honesty. We all make mistakes in our software testing careers and do things we shouldn't have done. That's part of growing and learning. What a good manager wants and needs is honesty. Your manager is on your side. If you've made an honest mistake, okay, we've all done it. Now, work together to figure out what to do about it. Don't try and hide it and hope no one will find out. Just admit it and move on. We've all had some pretty awesome mistakes we've made. And the very best managers have been the ones who understood and helped us undo whatever foolish things we had done. When you move up to management, it is then your job to pass on that level of understanding and encouragement. Now, all that said, there are times when a mistake really causes a mess. As long as it was well-intentioned, working together is vital for recovery. If the mistake was intentional, well, that's a whole different other issue. So be sure your intentions are good, because you will eventually make a mistake and have to ask for forgiveness. A sense of adventure. The very best testers are those that see each project as a new and exciting challenge. The core of finding this sense of adventure is to maintain curiosity about every aspect of a project. If you can find this level of interest, you will be a happy employee. Nothing is really going to motivate you as much as enjoying the work that you are doing. If you really like to see how things can break the software, you will have a wonderful time with this work. If you are happy to work with the team to produce a high-quality product, it will be easy for you to get up for work in the morning. And this sense of adventure will get you through the boring and monotonous work as well. There are always boring parts of our job. Regression testing should be boring. It isn't always, but that's another issue. Writing test cases can be a snooze fest, but breaking stuff is fun, and seeing it get better is rewarding. Think about what motivates you, and be sure you find that in your job. Managers love to hire people who are self-motivated. They are happier. They aren't waiting for someone to tell them they did good work. They know when they do good work, and that motivates them. It is important to be realistic, though. If testing were all fun and games and rewards, they wouldn't have to pay us to do it. Testing has its bad times, boring times, and just plain frustrating times. It's important to understand that's part of the job too, just as finding the biggest, ugliest bug right before the final release to production. Everything should balance out to a level that you find interesting and enjoyable. Adaptability. Some of managers' favorite testers are the ones that are adaptable. These are people that can be moved between projects as needed, and they just grab onto the project and start in. Managers want people who can learn quickly and adapt to any project situation. That means the more lifecycle models you're comfortable with, the more a manager wants to hire you. The more technologies and tools you know, the more a manager wants you. And you can do automation too? Great! Flexibility in assignments and adaptability to project situations is critically important in our industry. You won't ever know everything you need to know on a new project, but can you adapt? Can you learn? Will you be happy dealing with a period of time where you're not quite comfortable? Do you like the challenge? Then you will do really well in a testing organization, and you will be very attractive to a hiring manager. Initiative. This overlaps with several of the other areas, but a good tester shows initiative. You find things that need to be done and you do them. You fill in your slack time with productive tasks, such as creating new reports, putting the testing artifacts into a database, etc. A good tester always has something to do to keep them busy. And if you absolutely can't find anything to do, just ask your manager for something. They always have a pile of tasks that they haven't been able to get to, and they'd probably love some help. You should never be bored. If you are, you aren't looking hard enough for interesting things to do. Is the regression testing driving you mad? Why haven't you looked at test automation? Are the requirements really finished? Look for ways to improve the project and the work products. Look for new things to learn and ways to expand your skills. We've looked at the traits that all good testing managers seek in their employees. You undoubtedly have a number of these. Obviously, you have initiative and you're working to build your competence, or else you still wouldn't be listening to this video. Now, how do you parlay these skills into a promotion or a new job? Make sure your manager knows that you do these things. And without being a pain, mention these in your weekly status report. The information will sink in. Also, be sure to reference your fine characteristics on your performance appraisal. Get noticed for the good things that you do. Testers all too often do not point out the good things that they do and expect the bug counts to say it all. When interviewing for a software testing job, a clever interviewer will probably touch on all of these items. Be sure you give examples of how you have delivered on each one of these. If they don't bring them up, make sure that you bring them up. But talk in terms of examples, as it's much more believable. Everyone says they are adaptive, but it's a lot more interesting if you can give examples of situations in which you had to prove your adaptability. Managers look for these characteristics. You'll find that you will be happier in your job if you pursue these as part of your normal work. Make a checklist and review it monthly to make sure you are really working to grow and to learn and to expand your independence. You will be a better employee, and your testing manager will certainly notice. Visit ISTQB today and find out how we can help you with your ISTQB certifications and how to get noticed for your next promotion or your next job. www.istqb.org